Hello. Today we're going to speak about the role of joy, seriousness, and peace and relaxation in the path to coming home, realize yourself, becoming whole, becoming liberated, attaining fullness, totality, completeness, oneness with yourself and everything alive. I have seen that for the most part in my life, and most books I have been reading, and systems I've been inspired by, and seekers that I have met, there is an underlying current of being a serious seeker. And many people, they forsake many things, they give up many things, they can even become monks or nuns, and they stop eating meat, stop drinking alcohol, stop dancing, stop having fun, stop doing this and that, because they are serious. And they're very, very serious in their seeking. And according to me, there are like sort of two ways in which you can be serious. One is very positive and very constructive, and one is destructive and negative. So the positive side of being serious, I would call being earnest or sincere or determined. You know exactly what you want and there is no compromise. But you can do it happily, playfully, totally relaxed, in full joy. Or you can do it depressed, angrily, and frustrated, and grumpily. That was, without knowing it, the way I did before. At least partly. And when I said I wanted happiness, it was not really, I didn't know what I want. It was some kind of a ecstatic bliss, but no happiness and no joy. It was some kind of an escape from this serious grayness, the heaviness, and not the lightness, the joyful lightness. Just like you see in a small child, in a small cat, in a baby cat, in a baby dog, or in a butterfly. So there is a big difference. It is very important to be very focused, very determined. Just like, most parents are, especially mothers, are very well known for being very determined. When they get a child, they just make some kind of an inner deep decision. I'm going to take care of this beautiful baby, my baby. I'm willing to sacrifice my health, my wealth, my time, my money, my pleasure, in order to make this baby happy, my child happy. So, most people are very determined. They're very disciplined. They don't compromise. They don't leave the child at home for a month, go on a holiday, and when they come back, they hope the child will be alive or maybe dead, they don't know. That's not how they do. They don't take risks. They're very determined. They're very they have a very serious attitude, but very loving attitude. It's not like a negative to destroy the child, like serious or punish the child. Well, at least the best parents, I mean. Those who have like the love is more like an angelic love, or divine love, or unconditional love to their children. So it's very important to know the difference. And when we know what we really want, we can start to attract it. We can attract it energetically, or books that correspond to it, or a master who is teaching that and living like that, or even, in my opinion, the most powerful, usually, a living master who is living like that 24/7, spontaneously, and when nobody's looking, is like that. A spiritual master who is all the time totally happy. At least as happy, or you can say more happy than a newborn baby who is smiling 500 times a day. I have read some research that approximately children, they are like smiling 400 times a day. I don't remember exactly the number. And women 50 times, and men 7 times. Something like that. So congratulations, women. You are more happy than men. You are on the right track, most women. And even more children. Congratulations. And even more, children, small dogs, small cats, butterflies, innocent beings like that, who are not burdened with knowledge and heavy concepts. They have not become slaves of the mind of these concepts, which is basically the only block. And then we have another thing, which is peace. But there are also two kinds of peace. Leave me alone, peace. I don't care about anything, peace. I want to sleep, peace. I have a relative who says, I'm very happy when I sleep. But when I wake up, hell begins. A most wonderful person, amazing person. But somehow he or she is, well, I know if it's he or she, I just tell like that. He or she is stuck in the waking state, the mind, though he or she wants to become free of it. And I'm sure that is going to happen, because my relative is a profound person. So there is another kind of a peacefulness, stillness, whereby it is a total relaxation. That is the most important here when we speak about peace, is relaxation. And most seekers who say that they are looking for total peace, total happiness, total love, total bliss, they are very tensed. They are very frustrated, because they are trying to become somebody that they are not. They don't accept or love themselves. They don't accept themselves And only those who can accept themselves, they automatically, they can love themselves easily. So if you accept yourself, you can forgive yourself. If you forgive yourself, you can love yourself. If you can love yourself, you can love the whole world. This is simple logic. So it's very important to have total relaxation. And whatever hinders this total relaxation is a big block, such as striving to be perfect, not accepting yourself, and seeking perfection, seeking happiness, seeking the higher self, seeking the meaning of life. That very seeking becomes stress, becomes anti-peace, becomes anti-relaxation, becomes tension and stress. And I always recommend that we should listen to and even blindly trust those rare masters who have reached the highest form of perfection. Or maybe perfection is not a good word. Let's call it the maximum potential, that there is nothing higher, the highest form of awakening. And in my perception, I can give some very famous examples of such masters that in my opinion are like that. I can't prove it. How can I prove? My heart knows. It is Ramana Maharshi. It is Nisargadatta Maharaj. They are very famous. I would also say Nisargadatta Maharaj, his master, called Siddha Rameshwar Maharaj. But he is not so very famous. And Ramana's disciple, whom I met 33 years ago, whose name is Nanagaro, he's also not famous in the West. I also call him like that. Why? Because I felt it. It was like billions and millions of volts of total bliss and silence. And same with GM. I would say exactly the same like Nanagaro is GM, because I also met her and she's alive. And Nanagaro was alive 33 years ago and he left his body some 6 years ago, unfortunately. And I couldn't meet him. I wanted to meet him before and stay there for a few years with him while he was in the body, but I came late. That is another story. So after that, I was intensely looking for somebody who was at the same high level as Nanagaro and Ramana and Nisargadatta. And that is, in my opinion, is GM is that. How do you know that? Well, there's absolutely no doubt about it. To me, when I was with her, just within a nanosecond, it was the highest form of stillness and peace and love that's ever possible. Just like billions of volts, like that. And even when she's writing an SMS, and even more when she's calling, within maybe half a second or 1 second, it's at least half there. Physically, it's like full. And I have met many so-called masters, but I will call them spiritual teachers, because a master is actually embodying it. Even when he or she closes their eyes and or closes the mouth, it's totally there. I met many so-called enlightened or awakened, but they don't have this presence. They have some kind of a presence, but it's not that billions and millions of exploding volts of total peace, bliss, silence, and love. So, it's very important to be totally relaxed. And for example, Ramana, he said, there is no goal to be reached. There is nothing to be attained. You are the self. What does it mean, the self? Ramana meant the absolute, the source, the higher self of the universe, the source, the divine, one with the divine. That's what he meant by the self. He sometimes called it the heart. I mean, words are just words. Actually, when you are in the state, they just become ridiculous. It's just like, I live in Stockholm, or 25 kilometers from Stockholm. You can see in the forest there. This is an island. Very high energy here. You feel like in the Garden of Eden. So if I see a road sign where it is written 25 kilometers Stockholm, or let's say when I enter Stockholm with a bus, Stockholm, the road sign isn't Stockholm itself. So words are like a road sign. They're nothing more. It's very easy to get stuck with words, with concepts, because that's the only real block. That's called the mind. GM even says she refuses to use the word mind. I think it's a good approach. She calls it thoughts. Because if you look very, very deeply inside the mind, it's actually only thoughts. But Ramana, Nisargadatta, and most masters, they call it the mind. So I agree with all of them. Actually, I don't have to agree with my master because, you know, when Ramana was my master, certain things I didn't agree with. And then Nana, a living master, he took over. There were certain things I didn't agree. But they were not less perfect. They were like billions of volts of presence. But they were just choosing certain words that I would have chosen something else. Or what they said about health, I maybe didn't fully agree. But that didn't decrease my love or trust even 1%. And the same with the GM and with Nisargadatta. He was smoking all the time, Nisargadatta. And I don't agree that that was the best choice. But I see nothing wrong with that. It was because it's only on a dualistic level. It was like a joke for fun. Why not? I'm very, very health conscious. I don't even eat sugar. I'm fasting every day. I'm the opposite of Nisargadatta. But still, I mean, he could have been my master if I was living in Bombay and it was before he died. But now, GM is my master, and I'm so satisfied with her. And I mean, to me, she is the same as Ramana, Nisargadatta, and Siddharameshwar, or Christ, or Buddha, or Nana. I cannot see any difference. Actually, I cannot see a difference. Because they're only consciousness, they're only spirit, they're only limitless love, joy, and peace. So, GM has totally opened my eyes for being relaxed. Because to me, peace, it was before a little bit, leave me alone. But she actually opened my eyes for that we must be totally relaxed. There should be no struggle. And one more thing she opened the eyes for is never be serious. Never take anything seriously, because if you take anything seriously, it means we give it reality. Let's say I would take my physical body seriously, or maybe a wrinkle. Of course, I don't have any wrinkles, but if I had, Yeah, I don't have. If I had, or let's say some war somewhere, or some problem, some corruption, of course I would like to help people. I would like the world to be free of war. That will be amazing. Good, John Lennon. We will vote for you for president. You will, great. Love is all we need. War is madness. Of course it is. But, I mean, not even Jesus, Buddha, etc., they managed to stop the war. So, it is as it is. Okay? It's sad, of course, but it is as it is. So, if we would take anything seriously in the world, as if it happens, and not just a projection of consciousness, some kind of a movie, which is real. If you feel you are the body, it is real. If you feel you are the personality, it's real. The physical world is real. But what if it was a movie? Like God projecting some movie, or consciousness projecting the movie. What's the difference? Ramana, he also said, what people call God is basically consciousness. When you go within, I am that I am. So, and not only Ramana, Nisargadatta, GM, etc., they all said the same. So, just know that we should be, just like Jesus said, like small babies, small children, who are never serious, who is all the time laughing, who is all the time joyful, all the time relaxed. Especially what has helped me to relax totally. Partly when I had Ramana and Nana, because they were alive in the pictures, they are still alive. When I look into a picture of Ramana or Nana, the eyes becomes living, shining, lot of grace is coming, undoubtedly. I've gotten so many miracles from that. I also get the same from GM in her photo. She has never told me that I should look at her photo. It's my little secret. I am not obeying her blindly. I follow my intuition. Just like Nisargadatta, he said that the true eternal master is within. And the outer master, in my case, it used to be Ramana, and then living Nanagaro, and then now GM. They are reflections of the inner master. They are an incarnation of your inner master. So if you don't have total connection and contact with the inner master or the inner divinity, it could be extremely helpful to have the outer. But both Ramana and GM, they entered this total state of awakening without any physical outer master. Ramana said he had Arunachala, which is a mountain. So that is maybe, that could be maybe discussed. But GM didn't have. In fact, she never really had any suffering or struggle in her life, as far as I remember. She hardly speaks anything about her. It took like maybe, 1 month before she just said a little bit. She just said she just observed life. There was no struggle. And then just by reading, a few pages in some spiritual books, she just got the whole thing. I don't know exactly how it is, but this is a little bit simplified version. So Ramana also just got it spontaneously. So Ramana and Ramana and GM, they were not seekers. They just got it like that. That's why I've gotten a lot of help from Nisargadatta's books, because he was actually a seeker, just like you and me. Well, I don't know all of you, but I assume almost all of you have been seekers. Like, I'm not a seeker anymore. I already found what I needed. Just like I'm going back to GM now after a week, not to seek anything, because I've already found everything. And she was definitely helping me a lot. It is to get it totally stabilized. It's as if she helped me to build a house. We just need to put the roof, and to maybe find a lock of the door, something like that. There is something missing. I don't know what it is. Maybe 1% is missing, maybe 99% is missing. I have no idea. But if I would not have known GM, I would have thought that I already have the full thing. But thanks God there is GM, because when I'm with her, or even when she calls me, I can feel there is a difference, even a big difference. I don't know, we can call it double strength, we can call it 10 times strength, something like that. There is a definitely increase when I'm with her. So I know there is more to get. So that's what I recommend to many of you, because many of you who are watching this video, you are already beyond suffering. You don't have any conflict. You have a beautiful state. The mind or the thought might even be tempted to say you are an avatar, or you are enlightened or awakened. My mind was whispering to me that I was already in the state of awakening, but my heart said no. So I'm blessed to be able to hear my heart. So there is something more. It is possible to be stabilized in the highest of awakening. And I told in another video that in a book and a scripture that Ramana he recommended a lot, called Ribhu Gita, they spoke about 4 different kinds of knower of the Absolute. The knower of the Absolute, the good knower, the very good knower, and the very best knower of the Absolute. Brahma Vishvarenya, something like that it was called in Sanskrit. So, but the essence is that it is not enough to go beyond suffering. There is more to it. And that is in the spiritual teacher of Rupa Spira, Francis Lucille. I think that he was the one who told it. He spoke about Karuna Guru is the master of compassion who can actually put others into that state. And in my opinion, Ramana Nisargadatta and GM, they belong to this category. There are others also, but many of them, they are unknown. They don't even tell they are in the state. But I would say that most people who are claiming to be in the awakened state, they are not. I don't know, my guess is that 1% only are there. Maybe 10%, I don't know. But it's a minority. Because I have met so many world famous and a little bit famous who claim to be there. Nothing, there is just a very weak presence compared to Nana or GM. These are the ones I met physically. And Ramana, I also feel it in where his grave is, his tomb, and the caves. You can feel a definite presence. But I know when he was alive, many people that said they had never felt such a deep peace and silence in their life as when they were in the presence of Ramana, and exactly the same happened with GM. So it's a very, very special presence of those who are in the total awakened state. So those who are not in that state, they could be called spiritual teachers. And they are also precious, especially if they admit that they are not masters. Masters is the one who is totally there, who can give others the state, who can transfer and transmit the state, who can actually put people there, even without a word spoken. And they are so rare. They're the gems of this world. But even somebody who is partly awakened, they can definitely help you to grow spiritually. They can bring you closer to the goal. You can feel definite amount of, clearly you can feel an amount of peace coming from them. It can even be pretty much. But it won't be billions of what. So for those of you who are seekers, you could consider visiting GM on Sundays. She has an open house. It's not like you have to come for a retreat. Retreat, that's not for everybody. That is through interview. Only the most sincere seekers and those who trust GM deeply, they are invited. But to her Sunday meetings, you can just come. It's enough just to be a serious seeker. You don't know so much about GM. You're welcome to sit there. It lasts for 8 hours. There's not much to lose. It's free of cost. Usually they give you even food. So there's nothing to lose. There's a limited amount of space because she doesn't have a spiritual center, which people often call an ashram. She just invites to her private house. So, a very important lesson I have gotten from GM is that peace is the foundation. Stillness is the foundation. They are the source of being, of beingness, of creation. And only from the totality of peace and silence and stillness, everything else comes. The whole universe and all the galaxies and all the beings inside, love and bliss and ecstasy, they all have one mother. And the mother, the root, the source is peace, stillness, silence. So without that totality of relaxation, silence, stillness, peace, we can't really get this tree of happiness, joy, love, and bliss. So I would say that peace, stillness, silence is an underdog. It's very easy to underestimate it. Many think that love is higher. I would say no. I would say there is no totality of love without a totality of peace and stillness and silence. When you have this in place, the peace, stillness, and silence, the love will be endless after some time. And the happiness and joy will be endless after some time. So peace, stillness, and silence, it is the foundation. And thank you, GM, for opening my eyes for this simple but very powerful, eye-opening truth. And GM has also given me another lesson. It is that without joyfulness, we can't awaken completely. So not only peace and stillness and silence must be there, but joyfulness. What I spoke about in the beginning, like small children smiling all the time, laughing all the time, and you doing the same. That's very important. And for this to happen, we must stop being boringly serious. And in the presence of GM, I assume the same would happen to these rare Karuna masters or Karuna Guru, the highest form of awakened masters. I assume it is the same in their presence. I can't tell because I only spent 1.5 hours in Nana's presence, and I didn't meet anybody else on that level, on that highest form. The highest form of awakening, I mean, where the presence is just like totally shooting you back to the end of the universe and nail you to the wall. They're like a big cannonball, like 100,000 atom bombs throwing you back, and you are just, something happens. So in the presence of GM, when the heart is totally open with having this tremendous deep trust in her, in the master, then I feel that these blocks, subconscious and conscious blocks, are melting, just like a candle will melt when it comes sufficiently close to the sun. It will just melt. Because a very powerful transmission is taking place from GM. I assume the same with Ramana, etc. I totally assume. I just can't speak from personal experience. Let's just say it is so, to make it simple. Because that's what we have read, people said. So anyhow, so it's very precious to have the rare opportunity to have a living master being of the highest form of awakening when your heart is open. I now speak from personal experience. And the determination, playful determination, not serious, but playful determination, that's very important also. There should be no compromise. So when I listen to GM, or even when I listen to Nisargadatta, because whatever she doesn't say, he says. So I feel they're like brother and sister. So because Ramana, he didn't speak so much. We could add Ramana also, but I mainly add Nisargadatta and GM. I could also add Ripogita, Ashtavakra Gita, etc. I could have added, but mainly it is GM and then Nisargadatta. That gives some kind of a complete picture for me. I just speak from my own experience. So when I listened to them, I just said yes, yes, So when I listen to GM, yes, GM, yeah, When she has a lecture for half an hour, because I know that she speaks the truth. I know it, I feel it, and I'm convinced. I'm the same with Nisargadatta. I don't speak about certain superficial things. If they speak about, the grammar might not be perfect, they might say something about health that might not be really true in my experience. But that's not important. I totally agree with them I know they are right when it comes to the spiritual level, like what is reality, what is love, what is joy, what is bliss, what is consciousness, what is awareness. I mean, these important things. The other things, they are not important. If I ask GM what's the capital of Sweden, she might say Copenhagen. Of course, I won't agree with her. Do you understand what I mean? So, and or Nisargadatta, whatever. So, I don't speak about dualistic level. I speak about the awareness and consciousness level, not of their personality, with whom they don't identify with that, but that's just an instrument. So their mind, their personality, the body that they make use of, but they don't identify the least with that, that is not perfect. It can never be perfect. But the realization, the non-dual realization, the oneness with the source, it is perfect. It is total. So I think that was all for today. And I hope that it was helpful to you, and I hope you were able to feel what was said. I didn't plan this talk. It's just totally spontaneous. It's not even a person speaking. It just happens. I don't feel any center. I don't feel any me and you. There is only spaceless, endless awareness. There is only one thing. And that is using also the body-mind form. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me, and I will try to write my email address here, and also how to find out more about GM if you were interested in reading about her, or maybe even coming for a retreat, and they don't cost any money. There is no money involved. GM doesn't touch money at all. Just like Ramana and Ramakrishna Paramahansa, they never touched money. And this fact is also important. I think you can feel what I mean. One more thing I forgot to say is that with the relaxation, how did it become total in me? The relaxation became total when I met GM, because she's the first master I meet more than just like a few hours. And I felt I'm totally in good hands. Just like meeting the best surgeon in the world, you will not be worried that there might be somebody else who can make a better operation. And I know how sincere she is. And just like Nisargadatta, he said, when you are following, he calls it a Sadguru, which means, well, these are many people who say, I am this, I am that, but that means an actually totally awakened master, a true master. And most of them who call them like that, they are maybe not. So, like, if you follow a totally, or a true master, totally awakened master, Francis Lucille, he calls it a Karuna Guru, in compassionate, awakened one. In Nisargadatta, he said, you will make it. And that's also the message of GM, who does not accept the masses. She accepts only people through interview. Like somebody who she has asked to make interviews, they should make sure that they are prepared when they come to a retreat. They can follow her teachings, her books, doing meditations and anything, come for the Sunday meetings, that's all fine. She's available for free. But to come to actually retreat for 1 or 2 or 3 weeks, there must be a dedication, there must be a deep trust. And I would call it a PhD level. She's just working with people on the PhD level for you to totally wake up. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense to her to invite people or to waste your time or her time, because she is totally focused on one thing, that you must wake up completely. I have no proof that she can do it, but I do feel it, that I know that she means it, and I feel that she is very capable of doing it, especially if you are a so-called serious seeker, but what I call more a earnest seeker. You're determined, and when you're very determined, in my opinion, there will be no desires. That's also Nisargadatta, he said, and Rumi said, when there's a deep urge to know your soul, to find yourself, that was Rumi's word, it swallows all other desires. And Nisargadatta, he said, when you realize that the body doesn't even exist. Nisargadatta said the body doesn't exist. And GM says it's only a dualistic form. It is important to have it. It's an instrument to awaken, but it's only consciousness. It's nothing eternal. That's why it's not really real. It's more like a projection of consciousness. Even quantum physics says like that the whole physical universe doesn't exist. Quantum physics cannot prove what exists because it's stuck within the dualistic world. But they can, at least it has discovered that not the outer universe doesn't exist. The physical universe doesn't exist. They even got the Nobel Prize like 1 year ago. And it was Alan Aspect, John Clauser, and Anthony Zellinger, I think that was his name. So that's a very powerful thing, that you don't have desires, just like GM says. That everything is you. Everything is your consciousness. How can you desire it? And Nisargadatta, he said that there is only you. When you realize that, there is only consciousness, and that consciousness is you. And when you realize that, there will be no fear at all. How can you be afraid of your own consciousness? How can you be afraid of yourself? So when there is the feeling of separation, as if there are others, there can only be fear. Whether you want it or not, there is fear. You can stick your head inside the sand, just like an ostrich, but the fear will be there. The total peace will not be there. You will probably seek total exploding eternal bliss, just like a drug addict. He seeks peace through drugs, or an alcoholic seeks peace through alcohol. In that way, I was partly using enlightenment and spiritual seeking in order to escape. Little bit related to how alcoholic and drug addict, they escape reality through chemical drugs. And Ramana, he says that when there is no desire, that is the highest bliss. So I recommend you to study Nisargadatta or GM a lot, maybe a mixture of both, like I'm doing, in order to get rid of desires. If you have desires, or I would call maybe cravings. Desires can be a small thing. Oh, I want to drink water. I don't speak about that. Craving means a desire so strong that if it's not fulfilled, you will suffer. So innocent baby desires are fine. They're natural. Even Nisargadatta said you would be dead without it. But I speak now about cravings. So when the cravings are gone, the real journey starts. And that's possible by studying GM and Nisargadatta. That happened through me, with me. Even before I did that, it happened by surrendering to Ramana and Nana. I took them as one being. I looked them in the eyes and I said, my past, my future, my present belongs to you. I leave it all to you. I could have done that with GM, but at that time I didn't know her. So that can be a powerful thing to do for people who are following somebody like Ramana, Nisargadatta or GM, to say, I leave it all to you. You can do that with your higher self or with God also, equally fine. If you believe in Jesus, do that with Jesus, and so on. I think you know what I mean. Because what we call grace, GM doesn't use such words. No karma, no chakra, no yoga, no grace. She doesn't speak about these words. She calls only presence, or consciousness, or awareness. But Ramana, he said, grace is ever present. It's always there. It just depends on if we are willing to receive it or not, if we are believing it or not, if we are trusting his words or not. And that's also my experience. Sorry, GM, for using words you don't know, but I know you don't care, because you are not enslaving the people that you are helping, that take you as the master. You are not making us slaves. You don't control what we should say or not. You are just like the perfect mother who wants everybody to wake up, to be totally happy, to come back to the source. And I think you can feel what I mean. I think you can feel her noble intentions, which is only limited love, joy, and peace. There's no ego, nothing there. Be happy.